On the night of April 17th, the Japanese maritime self-defense force destroyer Ikazuchi cut through the dark waters of the Taiwan Strait. To understand why that specific ship sailed on that specific night, we have to rewind the clock. This is Li Hongzong. 131 years ago to the day, he sat in a room in Japan and signed the Treaty of Shimonoseki. That signature ceded the island of Taiwan to the Japanese Empire, leaving one of the deepest scars in modern Chinese history. In geopolitical planning, military schedules are rarely left to chance. Tokyo knows the weight of April 17th. Beijing knows it too. Aligning a modern naval patrol with the anniversary of a national trauma is a deliberate psychological strike. It is a quiet reminder. While Beijing frames the Taiwan Strait as a strictly domestic issue, Tokyo is using its physical military presence to signal that the region's geography remains entangled in long-standing regional power dynamics. Sanae Takaichi is often dismissed as a mere political hawk. In reality, her approach is that of a cold actuary, measuring regional vulnerabilities with mathematical precision to engineer a strategy that doesn't rely on American cues. She and the Japanese elite are no longer reacting to events. They are independently calculating exactly how much pressure Beijing can withstand before the costs of a conflict become untenable. This satellite view shows the Taiwan Strait and the surrounding waters of the East China Sea. Recently, China established a 40-day no-fly zone in this area, testing how far they could push international boundaries before meeting resistance. Tokyo responded with a physical fact. This is the Japanese destroyer 112. Instead of protesting, they sailed their hardware into the contested zone. This maneuver is known as locking. You move your boundary forward, and I move my ship forward to meet it. It's a refusal to let an opponent unilaterally redraw the map without an equal, silent pushback. 5 distinct structural calculations currently drive this newfound boldness in Tokyo. First is Beijing's own vulnerability. Xi Jinping is currently navigating a steep economic downturn and internal trade wars. Tokyo has judged that he cannot afford the catastrophic economic cost of a major military escalation right now. Second is the uncertainty of American commitment. The potential for a future U.S. administration to cut a backroom deal with Beijing has forced Tokyo to proactively secure its own independent leverage in the Pacific. Third, the $60 billion defense budget functions as a massive industrial reboot. This capital injection is resurrecting Japan's military-industrial complex, preparing their factories to export high-end weaponry for the first time in generations. Fourth is diplomatic diversification. When 30 NATO ambassadors recently arrived in Tokyo, they signaled that Japan is building a security umbrella that reaches far beyond its traditional alliance with Washington. Finally, these calculations align with the legacy of Shinzo Abe, the doctrine that Japan's window to act is extremely short. It adopts the same do-not-wait logic that defined Japanese strategy in 1895. These calculations recently changed the text of official state policy. In the latest diplomatic Blue Book, Japan downgraded its relationship with China from one of the most important bilateral relationships to simply an important neighbor. Removing those few words in a formal document carries immense weight. It signals an end to the era of post-war deference that once defined Tokyo's diplomatic tone. By stripping this phrase from the record, Japan has transitioned into a new posture. They have signaled a move toward a relationship where every Chinese provocation will be met with a direct, physical counterweight. Japan has engineered a structural dilemma for Beijing, a trap where any reaction yields strategic loss. Aggressive force validates the regional threat narrative, justifying tighter U.S.-Japan military integration. But tolerating Japanese patrols exposes Beijing's warnings as hollow, a power threatening loudly but failing to act. This dynamic creates a fracture threshold, the point where a rising power's ambition makes its neighbors so anxious that its growth becomes unstable. The most perilous moments in history rarely start with a declared war. They happen when two deeply entrenched powers lock eyes, and both sides believe they are merely calling a bluff. This was the exact psychology of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. Today, an assertive Beijing and a rearmed Tokyo are both moving toward that same threshold. As domestic nationalism rises in both capitals, the margin for error is disappearing. The calendar is already marking the next convergence, April 17, 2026,